I have to start off and be honest, this was my most anticipated movie of the year, and now that I saw it, which I did get to see in IMAX on Thursday, opening weekend, I have just been busy, so only now am I writing this review and filming it and, putting this on YouTube. But what I want to talk about this movie so badly, I have to give it my best efforts, and this is my favorite movie of the year so far, and I want to praise it any way I can, even if I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said. But nonetheless, like anyone in the world, I'm a man with a voice, and I feel like whether or not what I have to say is new, something can be said that others might not, and it gives me that feeling to say how much I love something that I can't explain. Of course, though, going to the movie was interesting, though it was sold out opening weekend, and I found it good seat for me and my brother, with the guy sitting in between us, agreeing to switch seats, so my brother was next to me, thanks to that guy. But there was more to it than that. I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan film with an all-star cast and visuals unlike anything I'd seen before. One of the most important films to come out this year, regardless of the reception, because stuff. It's what most funny to me is that my brother told me after this movie that he didn't get why I was so hyped before to go see this movie, and didn't get either why I had to go see it like opening night, but he told me I was so right afterwards, so there's that. Now, with that said, what is this movie about? The movie is what it sounds like, a biopic of J. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy, based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning biography American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin, written and directed for the big screen by the one and only Christopher Nolan. I haven't seen all of his movies, but growing up in the 2010s, it did always feel like he was the greatest director of all time, or at least every poll on the greatest director of all time, he was the one who won. I've seen the Dark Knight trilogy, Memento, The Prestige, Inception, Tenet, and others probably. Honestly, I think going in this would be one of his most straightforward films, compared to the others, but of course it wasn't. And that, honestly, seeing a few reviews ahead of time with people not liking it, I feared I might be in the minority that didn't, and I would secretly be disappointed. As when the movie began, for the first few minutes, I had that feeling, but once I got into it, damn did I love it. The movie follows 3 points in time when Oppenheimer was actually, at his, well, how do I put this? Oppenheimer is, at his most challenged, I guess. Oppenheimer was at a security hearing that delved into his past, the main focus of the film being how Oppenheimer became the man who would create the atomic bomb, and what follows when his views on what he's created changed him and the world around him, as Lewis Strauss, played by Robert Downey Jr. in the black and white scenes, is at a confirmation hearing that shows his role playing in Oppenheimer's downfall and maybe his own. The movie definitely felt all over the place that only Nolan himself can make work, and honestly, I wish to one day do something like this, and it's hard to imagine how to do it like he does. The way his story plays out, where it began with Oppenheimer's great character introduction, which was almost poisoning a teacher out of pettiness, forgetting about it till like the last minute before anything bad could happen, but I think it kind of like, okay, how did he did something like that that could have caused death and tragedy, and only really thought about it until like the last minute? Okay, that isn't like the peril of the story that follows, but wow, when Oppenheimer creates the atomic bomb, or I should say, led to development, U.S. Army General Leslie Gross, Matt Damon, recruits him to lead the Manhattan Project, which leads them to recruit several scientists played by people I went, is that who I think he is? But the process of how Oppenheimer talks to other people, acts off other people, there's a clear character to him in this movie, where for someone who's practically in every scene, the movie based on his point of view, which I'll get more into later, but Cillian Murphy deserves an Oscar for this man. That, wow, man, what a performance. Anyways, but yeah, he only thinks of doing good his way, or afraid to be wrong, so he wants to be right. He can admit he's wrong at times, but doesn't want to be seen as the smart guy in the room. He can be kind or caring, but is still selfish and morally ambiguous with his own actions. Maybe I'm not doing the best job of describing his character in the movie, but the point is, in a story about a man who doesn't know what he's doing for the better or for the worse, the only thing it did because he was told to or did for himself is the question that it raises when, a major change during the war happens and the base discusses over what comes next for the Manhattan Project. It's a fantastic scene showing the thought process of asking what they stop, or should they stop it all? Would someone else just make the bomb? Or, could we still use it for anything else? And, if Oppenheimer didn't, who would have created the bomb? And if they don't use it, what else would happen otherwise? It raises questions. But history was made, and regardless of what he thought, you can't change it. I mean, you could change perspective on how we view it, but, history is history. All people who are strong whether or not working on this project was a very interesting discussion, about, well, we're doing it for better or for worse. Someone who think or become against the project as the movie goes on, those who blindly agree and don't think much of it since they only think of how it benefits themselves, like when they discuss how to use the bomb, and one man would have chosen one place or the other to use it for a very darkly funny reason. It's sickening and fascinating. There are glimpses throughout of the bomb going off, while Oppenheimer thinks of the power, the potential when it went off in the movie. There was this beauty to it that combined with horror. I never seen an explosion the same way I watched the Trinity test sequence, where it's something so impressive and horrifying that it changed everything in me, or at least it changed something in me I couldn't explain. That what followed, I seen people split on how the movie drags on, but I came so invested to see the fallout. As the movie is all over the place, yeah, and it all comes together in the end, like glimpses of hearing people stomping their feet and seeing the scene that plays its part in and the horror that followed. Yeah, it's great. How this movie ends, the way people often question if they can think of others or just themselves, the horrors that humanity entails onto others. It's so good. I usually don't like depressing movies, and for the most part it's not, as it becomes more of a horror film as it goes on, but it puts people in this position of trust, morals, devotion, respect. This movie had one theme going for it: its impact. What you do that defines you, whether it's something big or small. Can you escape who you are, what you've done? It is so good. There's only so many ways I can say it's so good. I don't know how else to put it, but yeah, it is so good. I praise Cillian Murphy. I hope for the best for him, since he gives one of the best performances I've ever seen on the big screen. But this cast was all fantastic, such as Damon, Downey, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Ben Safdie, Josh Hartnett, Kenneth Branagh, Josh Peck, Dave DeHaan, Rami Malek. I really love Olivia Thirlby's performance. I feel like not enough people are talking about Olivia Thirlby's performance. And one scene I really love with Gary Oldman is, I won't spoil what happens, but man, with his character who has such a man of power and how it falls out, it's haunting. The only real criticism I have, other than the music, which was good, but wow, did it hurt my ears at times, was how it was a lot with 3 hours and not a second wasted, but going back and forth did make me unable to understand everything at once, or at least it did felt overwhelming in a way where sometimes that can be better or worse on a rewatch. That depends. Like, at least on a first viewing where I got some supporting characters mixed up, it is a lot, and I can't pretend this movie is perfect because of that. It honestly feels like the kind of movie, despite its few flaws, what makes it great makes it perfect for what it is rather than what it isn't, because I don't know what I would change. Okay, maybe I don't know, maybe some fine-tuning and some of the smaller things, because it is a lot, but I really am glad I got the movie that I saw for everything about it, flaws and all. And so much I didn't say of this movie. I could go on and on about it. I will say this: I think this is important. It's daring, it's beautiful, haunting, powerful, and so much more. I love this movie for everything behind the scenes, on screen, and the impact it'll have moving forward with film. If this movie did anything, it gave me confidence that I could make something like this one day. Since this met my height, this blew my expectations, I need a perfect film that will change the way so many people will think about the world we live in. I love this movie, and I hope everyone gives it a chance. And that's what I love about Oppenheimer. The movie, I don't know about the person. I'm so mixed, Anyways, I give Oppenheimer a 9.5 out of 10.